Welcome students. This session is for BA second year English Literature paper first, that is poetry and drama. In this paper you have some literary terms, and in this session we'll be doing the literary term irony. Irony means the opposite of what you expect to happen happens. So you're expecting something else and something else happens. That is called irony. So let's look at this literary term in detail. If you look at the definition of irony, irony is a literary device in which contradictory statements or situations reveal a reality that is different from what appears to be true. So, what happens is that something else appears to be true for the readers or for the spectators, and suddenly the statements or situations they reveal the reality which is entirely different from what we were thinking as to be true initially. There are many forms of irony featured in literature. The effectiveness of irony as a literary device depends on the reader's expectations and understanding of disparity between what should happen and what actually happens in a literary work. So this literary device depends upon the understanding and expectation of reader. If reader, while reading a text, he comes to know that what should happen according to certain circumstances, and then something entirely different happens uh, in literary work, then you can say that there is use of irony. This can be in the form of an unforeseen outcome of an event. So, something which you cannot see before. You expect something else, and something else happens in that literary work. Something that you cannot see beforehand. A character's unanticipated behavior or something incongruous that is said. So, something which you cannot anticipate, something which you cannot imagine, or something which you cannot foretell, such and such thing happens with a character or with a situation. So, we can say that an irony has happened, or that's the use of irony by the writer. Let's have a look at types of irony. Irony can be sad and tragic, for it can funny and satirical. So irony can be of both types. It can be tragic, it can be sad, it can be funny also, and at times satirical. It can be in a form of satire. In other words, there are limitless ways one can wield irony. Irony can be presented in any literary work in a variety of ways. There are three different types of irony. So basically, there are just three different types: dramatic irony, verbal irony, and situational. Each has a different definition and function, and we're going to look at all these three different types of irony here. So, first, let's see what dramatic irony means. Dramatic irony occurs when readers are informed of significant information that key characters are unaware of. So it happens when you're reading any work of literature, you are aware of something or you are aware of some information, but the characters are not aware of that information or that situation. So it is something that writer shares with the readers, but the characters who are there inside that literary piece, they are absolutely uninformed of that particular situation or happening. Basically, where we know what will happen before they do. So it's in a simple words, you can say that we as readers, we know that what is going to happen, and the characters do not know what is going to happen. Tension rises between the point of revelation, and we as readers, we feel that tension rising among us when we think that how this thing will be known to the characters when the reader first receives the secret insight, because we as readers, we know the secret, and we are waiting when the characters inside that literary piece are going to know that secret. And recognition, when the characters are finally brought into the loop. So we see that characters in a loop, and we are waiting for that revelation, we are waiting for that recognition on the part of characters when they come to know the secret that is shared towards us to us by the writer himself. Again, Shakespeare is a big fan of this one. So Shakespeare in his works has used this dramatic irony to a lot of extent. Even his comedies such as Twelfth Night and Midsummer Night Dream are full of dramatic irony. So you can take any of his works, dramas, whether it's Twelfth Night or Midsummer Night Dream, they're full of such dramatic ironies. Let's look at the second type of irony, that is verbal irony, is when someone says something but means opposite. So this is something which is quite familiar to all of you. When somebody says something else and it means something else, in which the intended meaning of a statement is the opposite of what is said. So whatever the words are used by that character or by that person, if the intended meaning is entirely different or opposite to what is said, you can say that that's the use of verbal irony. Sounds similar to sarcasm? Well, they are not exactly the same. So you might think at this moment that this verbal irony is quite similar to sarcasm, but they are not the same because sarcasm is almost always used with the intent to denigrate someone or something. Basically, sarcasm is always used uh, to defame or to criticize someone or something. While irony isn't necessarily, but it's not necessary that irony is used for defaming someone or in order to somewhere criticizing someone. However, some would argue that sarcasm is simply one type of verbal irony. So you can say that yes, there is irony in sarcasm, but it's just one type of verbal irony, along with overstatement and understatement. So, in verbal irony, you usually find overstatement and understatement. So, let's have a look what overstatement and understatement mean. Ironic understatement means it creates contrast by undermining the impact of something, though the thing itself will be rather substantial or serious. It's a way that if something is very serious, it's very substantial, it's very meaningful, and something that thing is explained or is mentioned in a very low tone. The impact of that thing is undermined by the writer. So then we can say that it's an ironic understatement. And an ironic overstatement makes something small sounds like much bigger deal in order to emphasize how minor it actually is. But exactly opposite happens when there is ironic overstatement. In this way, something which is very small and which is not that meaningful, a writer presents it in a way as if it's a big deal about it, and this just he overstates it, and this is used just to emphasize that how minor or how unimportant it actually is. And the third type of irony is situational irony. It's when we expect one thing but get the opposite. So it happens in situation when we as readers we expect something else and we get the opposite of it. When the truth contradicts an expected outcome, it's situational irony. When whatever the outcome is, whatever the result is, whatever the end is, if it does not support the truth, if it's absolutely opposite to what the truth is, that is the use of situational irony, also known as irony of events. Situational irony can also be put into the category of the irony of events. Steering readers to an unexpected destination in a story can emphasize a novel's theme or moral lesson. So, the use of situational irony is that readers are steered through in the story for teaching them some sort of a moral lesson or telling you the theme of the novel. And for this reason, authors often deploy situational irony in fables or morality focused stories. Here I've been given the example of the story of tortoise and a hare. And basically, if you look at tortoise and hare, the expected result is that tortoise is slower and hare is faster. So uh, as readers, we expect that hare is going to win the race. But the situational irony is this, because a writer wants to teach us a moral lesson that slow and steady wins the race. So, for this purpose, he designs the fable in such a manner that the end is unexpected. The unexpected outcome teaches us that slow and steady wins the race. So here Situational irony is created just in order to show the readers or to give some sort of a moral lesson to the readers. Such situational irony is created in stories. So I hope that you all understood what irony is. Thank you.